Woo! Hey friends, long time no see. Today we are talking about the TOEFL independent speaking task and 5 things to avoid. These are 5 things that will make your scorer say, no. But wait, before we start, it is important to know how you are graded on this test. Your responses are recorded on the computer, very robotic, and then they are sent to a language professional like me. Your scorer will use something called a rubric to grade you or to score you. Lucky for us, these rubrics are available online on the TOEFL website. So I've included a link below that shows you the rubrics your scorers will use. They are a little confusing, but today I'll talk about them in easier terms and reference them occasionally. Okay, let's start. Number 1, your first thing to avoid is a response with lots of pauses. This problem affects your score because of the delivery category, meaning how smoothly and fluently you produce your response. If you have a response with lots of pauses, your scorer will say, maybe this person can't think of English very easily. I know, maybe you just don't have a lot to say about the question, but you need to think of something to say. So let's continue this with an example. Here's a question that could be asked. When is the perfect age to get married? Give reasons and examples for your answer. Here's an example of what to avoid for pauses. The perfect time to get married, it's when you are 30 years old. Because you have a lot of experiences. Perfect English, perfect grammar, but the pauses will affect the delivery score. Here's a better example. When you are 30 years old, this is the perfect time to get married for a number of reasons. The biggest is because of your financial experiences, which require you to be responsible. Okay, so here, there's no major pauses, there's no unnatural pauses, and that's what we want. Number 2, your second thing to avoid is bad pronunciation, or more importantly, pronunciation that makes it difficult for your rater or scorer to understand you. If the person scoring you has any trouble understanding you, this will lower your score with delivery as well. So here's a tip. Record yourself, and then if you have a native speaker friend, have them listen to you. If there's anything, any words, any phrases that the person can't understand or has difficulty understanding, then you know what to do. Look at these mistakes and fix them. Figure out how to make the correct sounds. Oh, and you can also send me your recordings. My email is below. I mean, I am a language professional, so. Number 3, third thing to avoid is simple or basic vocabulary, but also an inaccurate or incorrect use of vocabulary. And now we're looking at another category on the rubric, language use. This is vocab and grammar. To earn a score of 4, you need to have effective use of grammar and vocabulary. But that's not very specific. So, to be more specific, let's look at a score of 3. Here we see a 3 has some inaccurate use of vocabulary. That means if you make some vocabulary mistakes, maybe you use the word incorrectly, then your score will go down some. So what does this mean? Well, pro tip, don't use words that you're not 100% sure of the meaning. Again, the TOEFL is not the place to try out new things. But also, up your vocabulary level as well. You don't want to use just basic vocabulary, because for a 4, you need to have some complex vocab too. Number 4, got it. You want to avoid basic grammar structures, just like the basic vocabulary. For a score of 4 under language use, again, you need to have both kinds. But what is basic grammar? What is complex grammar? Well, I'll tell you. Here's some examples of basic English. I go to the store every day. I am learning English. I like turtles. All of these are things you learn when you begin learning English. If you can understand my video, you probably have no problems with basic English. But what are complex structures? These are longer structures going beyond simple present, present continuous. Maybe using some passive structures, using conditionals, using relative clauses, all of it. That is complex grammar. It shows you are not a beginner of English, because if you use basic structures, you can have perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, a perfect response. But if you're only using simple structures, then your score will go down. Why? Because the TOEFL is an advanced exam. Remember that. And number 5, avoid responses that don't have enough content. In this category, for a 4, it says a response that is sustained and sufficient. This means you have enough to say. Again, you can have a perfect response, but if it's very short, like 2 or 3 sentences, then your score will go down. Your rater or your scorer will say, well, this person didn't sustain their answer. They didn't keep it going. So how do you fix this problem if you don't have a good answer? Well, make things up. They are not grading you on how truthful your response is. They're grading you on the English. So if you don't care about marriage, well, for the next 1 minute, you need to care. Before I go, I have one more example of what to avoid for the TOEFL. Here's an example for an unsustained or insufficient response for our same marriage example. With my trusty timer, I'm giving myself 45 seconds to answer the question. Starting now. I believe 30 years old is the best time to get married, because by this age, you have had some experiences that require you to be responsible. I did not even reach 20 seconds. My response was, yes, grammatically perfect. I used some good grammar and vocabulary, and I answered the question. Was it sufficient? No. Was it sustained? Not quite. So that would be a lower score. It's a lower score because it did not fill the time. There was a lot of dead air. Here's an example of a sustained and sufficient response. 45 seconds, go. I believe 30 years old is the best age to get married. I have 2 reasons for this. The first is you are financially responsible. By this age, you have probably had an apartment or other property that you've had to take care of. But also, by the age of 30, maybe you have had opportunities to be around other couples and other people's children. So you're ready for what marriage entails, and you're ready for all the steps and things that come along with it. So here I hit 40 seconds. I only needed 5 more, but hey, I wasn't looking at the timer. So on the test, you will have the timer on the screen. So you'll know how much time you have left. Whatever you choose to say, make sure you can sustain it and give examples and experiences from your own life. Okay guys, that's it for today. We did it. I think the biggest thing to remember from this video is you can have perfect grammar, perfect vocabulary, and perfect pronunciation. But there are other things that your graders and scorers on the TOEFL are looking for. And now You know what that is. You have the rubrics. So study them and give them what they want. Complex grammar, complex vocabulary, sustained speech. And that's it. So keep practicing, record yourself, send it to me if you want, and good luck guys, you're doing great. Peace out for now, love you long time, and see you later.